Hi everybody, welcome to the LiveChains demonstration. This is a quick rundown on how to install MPOS, Stratum, and in this case anonymous coin. It's just a coin we've chosen as an example. This installation guide is not designed to be used on our cloud platform. The cloud platform is pre-configured. This guide is purely for those that have dedicated servers with us, purely for the purpose of running pools. As you can see, I've set up a temporary server to do the testing on. To show you, the base system is Ubuntu 13, 64-bit. You can see I've got Notepad open. It's got a list of all of the dependencies that we're going to need. They're available on the bottom of the video as well. So I've logged in. As you can see, I've elevated to root. You can do that by typing sudo su. Like so, and then enter in your password, and this will elevate you to root. So the first thing we're going to do, obviously, is make sure we've got an up-to-date platform to build on. So let's get the updates in. Some of these will take some time. The ones that take 10-15 minutes I'll pause the video and carry on when it's done. So we've got the update. Now we need to get the upgrade if there's one available. There is, so we'll get that right quick. It's worth taking note that the latest and greatest version of Ubuntu does have some issues with the autobahn builds. We'll make a separate video for that one. So once we've got those, we need to get all of these packages. These are the bare minimum dependencies that are going to be required for this installation. I'm sorry, it's not the fastest process in the world. It's on a VM on the temporary server I've got here running under the desk. But it will do for our needs. Okay, that's done. Now to install the dependencies, I just copied that from the notepad, and there you can see there are quite a few required. 757 megabytes of disk space. This is going to take some time. I'll probably pause and cut this bit out, but if not, you may want to grab a cuppa. It's worth pointing out at this point, when you install the MySQL server, you will be greeted with this. It is very, very important you set a highly secure password here. Remember, everything that MPOS stores and does is database driven. If the database is compromised, the server is effectively useless. As you can see, we're still unpacking all of the drivers here and the dependencies. But what we're going to do next is we're going to get clones of Stratum and MPOS, and then we're going to worry about getting things built. Okay, so now that that's done, we need to make sure that we're going to install MPOS and Stratum anywhere other than root for obvious reasons. So in this instance, the server's got a user account with the name Mark. So what we're going to do now is log in to that. And the fastest way to do that is with a localhost loop, like so. I'm going to accept the fingerprint. Now that we're in, we need to get Stratum and MPOS. They're quite simple. Copy and paste again. You'll find that most of this is copy paste. It's only at the end it gets slightly more complicated. But now we have everything we need downloaded. We have MPOS, we have Stratum, and we now need the coin. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be using Anon coin, which is at GitHub. So we'll get the coin. Next we got to build the coin. Now a lot of people struggle with this. If you get the dependencies right, then you won't have issues here. Almost all of them are dependency based. I will point out some other things quickly. As we can see, the folder's there, so we need to get into the folder. So let's get in. Now we're into the source folder. Now in some builds, this folder here is missing, so you'd need to manually create that, and you would do that like so. Obviously it won't create because it's already there for me, but that is one problem. And another problem is in here. If we look inside the libboost-DB folder, we have a build detect platform. Some coins for some reason have a bad set of permissions. In this, to resolve this, you would need to do not ideal, but it does work. Anyway, we're back to the source folder here. As you can see, we've got all the files we need. Now we need to tell the computer to build it. So to do that, we do make-f makefile.unix. And on our servers there's no requirement for UPnP, so use _UNP equals negative symbol, and press enter. This will take, it really does vary actually, coin to coin. It greatly depends on how fast the disks and memory are as well, but this could take anything up to 10-15 minutes. So I'm going to pause this here, and once I return we will tackle MPOS and Stratum's initial configuration. Okay, so that's the coin daemon built. Now to make it a bit more usable, we need to strip it first. To do that, just type strip and then the coin name. Now we need to put it into the users directory so that it can be used by everybody. To do that, you do sudo cp, in this case anon coined /user/bin anon coined. If you ask for your root password, enter that, job done. Now to step back a bit, so that we're back to the home directory for this user, in this case /home/mark. Now what we want to do is run the coin. To do that, you just type anon coined and it will give you a nice little message, as you can see here, that there is no config file. What you want to do is copy and paste the current one that they display on the screen. cd.anoncoin. Coin directories are always in the user's root, so it will always be here, and they always start with a dot. They're hidden. Now we need to create the coin config. This is quite simple. The coin config is anoncoin.conf, so we open that with nano. Now we need to set some parameters here. So initially server equals 1, listen equals 1, daemon equals 1. The RPC allow is 127.0.0.1. The RPC allow IP is 127.0.0.1, and the RPC connect and finally the RPC port. Now picking a port is important. My personal preference would be, if the stratum is going to be on port 3334, the wallet should be on 3335. We need to paste the username and password. Obviously you can set anything you like. In fact, I'm going to have to. So it's RPC user equals a username. We'll keep it simple here. And the RPC password, again, very important, this is secure. It doesn't matter that it's like this. So we now have a config. So Control X to save, Control Y, and then enter. Now type anoncoin again, and you should get a nice new message saying anoncoin server is running. To check that, we give it a moment, and then we type anoncoin get info, and here we can see the current status. At the moment there's no blocks and no connections, so we need to wait a few moments. This will allow us to download the blockchain. Depending on the coin, this actually can take quite a bit of time. In fact, while that's running, what we'll do now is we'll move on to MPOS. We don't need to do any more at this stage. So, as you can see in the home directory here, we've got a folder called MPOS. What we need to do is enter into that. And now you need to do sudo mv move star /var/www/cd. Now the reason we move it to this location is fairly straightforward. One is it makes modifying the Apache config later very simple, and two, this is where they really should be. Now, as you can see, there's lots of files there. The first step is to create the database. Now I would recommend doing it as a user and not as a root, but for this example I am going to use the root account. If you need to create MySQL users, there are some very simple online guides available. So what we're going to do here is tell MySQL I want to log in as the user root with password -e, and then create database MPOS, enter. It asks for your password. This was the one in my case that I set during the setup earlier. Now that we've done that, we want to go back, so it's MySQL again, -u root -p. This time we want to tell it to select the MPOS table like so, and then import to that table from the following file, which is sql/000 star. Once you've done this, again depending on system, this can take a second or two or a minute or two. It really does depend on your current loads. So we've now created the database that's required for MPOS to operate. From there we need to navigate to the public includes config folder, so cd public /include/config. Next we need to edit the master config file. To do that it's nano global.inc.dist.php. Now as you can see it's fairly well laid out, there's plenty of help online if you get stuck here. The salt and salty, these are very, very important, guys. You must make these random. This isn't no good. They need to be really secure passwords that are random. Feature upper and lowercase letters. I'm just going to sprint through this as a demonstration, but you get the idea. These are the encryption keys that are used on the database. So if you lose them, or you don't set them properly, or they're insecure, you can be compromised. Now, as we see earlier, we set up the database. In my case, I set it up as root, but you would enter your username now for the database. You'd enter the database password. You would enter the database password. I'm not going to, I'm going to enter that later. But you would need to edit it. It already knows the table name is MPOS. Next is a wallet connection. Now, as we discussed earlier, the wallet is on port 3335, so 127.0.0.1:3335. In here you put the RPC username and password, which was set in that config file. Moving down, as you can see here, we've got the Litecoin, this piece here. This is to tell MPOS where your stratum is. Obviously you set the coin name and the website address for the coin how you want it. The stratum URL is your server's IP address, and obviously the stratum port is whatever you set in the next step. You won't always have port 333 available. Moving on, this is the API ticker. This will show a US dollar value on the pool for a given coin. However, not all coins are supported, and you are required to modify this if it's not Litecoin. So if you wanted the BTC price, for example, you would modify this and specify a currency of BTC. Auto payments threshold, very important. You don't want users storing coins on your server. Simple reason for that is if the server is broken into, somebody's going to get upset. This feature allows you to force, in a sense, your users to use the auto payouts. And the minimum threshold should obviously be 1 block value. Well, it could be just 1, you can set it to anything you like as a minimum. But for the maximum, we don't recommend anything more than 5. So if the block's worth 10, you would set a maximum here of 50. So they are forced to use the auto payments. The manual payment threshold is a minimum requirement for a withdrawal. The minimum requirement for the donations are set as well here. Invitations we don't tend to modify. Config currency, this is important. This shows on the MPOS page, so if it's Anon coin, which it is, we would set ANC here, and it will show ANC on the MPOS front end. The coin target, this is in seconds. This is how often a block is meant to be generated by a coin. So if you want perfect stats, you need to get this part right. The coin diff change target, you have to calculate this. This is per block. So if the coin is 60 seconds and it retargets every 60 minutes, the coin change target is 60. The transaction fees, these can vary from coin to coin. It really does depend on the reward and the layout of the coin. 0.1 is fine in most cases. For something like Anon coin or Unobtainium, these numbers need to be reduced with a couple of zeros first. Up next is a block bonus. Simply what it is, how big a block bonus do you want to give to the block finder. It comes out of the liquid assets of the pool, so be careful with it, because if you forget to turn it off, you're going to run out of coins. People won't get paid and people will shout. Up next is the payout system. We only support proportional payout. We do not support PPLNS or pay per share. It is proportional only. If you choose to change this, technical support from LiveChains is not available. Send to many emails we don't use. Some pools will, particularly larger pools, would want to use that. Now the transaction limits, this is a particularly handy new feature. It helps us manage a wallet's transaction history. We found that the settings of 500 work perfectly for more or less everybody. Only really large pools will need to make significant changes there, or coins that are exceptionally fast, for example fast coin. The round purging, this greatly depends on the server performance. Obviously the faster the server, the more work it can do, the more it can purge in one go. We've never had reason to play with these. For us, it's especially in the cloud now, these settings work wonderfully well. Share archiving settings we leave at the default. Pool fees, obviously this is how you guys make your money, so this is where you set the fee for the pool. Obviously the higher you set it, the more money you make. The lower you set it, the more you'll appear to users. The PPLNS we ignore completely, along with the difficulty settings there. Block reward, very important that you leave that to block. If you change it to a manual number and the coin halves when you're not paying attention, you're going to get stung. The config reward underneath, you put in there the value of the block count as it is now, and that'll help with calculating the stats. Up next is confirmations. These are fairly important bits of kit. The top line now, config confirmations equals 120. This is the number of confirmations required for new mint. It is not the number of confirmations required for transactions. On some coins they do vary. Some coins have a confirmation of new mint with 120, but only require 6 network confirmations. I'm not going to point any fingers here, but if you get these settings wrong, it just gums up the work and slows things down. And then finally we're on to the last few bits here. On a single host you don't need to anything else. If you're running multiple pools, you will need to here define a unique name. Because we're using Anon coin, we'll choose Anon. This is just so that it doesn't load stats from another pool and make everything go sideways. And that's about it. The very last line at the bottom there, the system max load. Now we leave this at 10, partly because we offer shared resources, and partly because it's a nice round number. You can change it to what you like, but obviously the more the server load goes up, the slower things will get. If you've got an 8-core server with no HT, 8 cores, a load average of 8 is 100% load in essence. It doesn't work like that, but it's a good baseline. So if you've got 8 cores, a max load of 8, with some luck, that will work nicely. So now that we've edited the config, we press Ctrl X. Again, we want to save it. And this time we want to save it as global.inc.php. Yep, that's saved. So now that we've done that, we need to drop down 3 directories. That brings us here. This is a very important step that many users forget to do. It's called chmodding, and without it, this whole setup doesn't work. So what we do here is sudo chown -r www-data, and it's public /templates /compile, and it's public template cache and logs. No / on the second half there. Oh, my spelling's atrocious. Bit of a typo there. Okay, now that we've CH'd it at last, if you opened up a web browser and you've got the configs correct, you will now be greeted with the pool login page. So you'll need to sign up straight away, because the first user to sign up is given automatic admin privileges. It will tell you that you need to check your mail. You don't, you just log straight in. You won't actually get the first mail. We're not 100% sure why, but it does seem to affect a few of our customers right now. So with that done, MPOS is now configured and ready to roll. So next we need to do stratum. Now to do this, we're going to go back to the home directory here, and we have a folder called stratum. Stratum needs a few more steps to help complete the configure with. So we're into the stratum folder. First we need to make sure we've got the latest one, so submodule update. Now we need to compile some components. So cd ext cd externals /litecoin _script. Now to set it to install it. Oh, that was right. Sorry, you need to run that as root. So sudo, or not. I've made a boo-boo. Let's just resolve that quick. I think I've missed a step. Yeah, you need to run the python this command here. At this point, can't progress without it, as you've just seen. And then we do python-setuptools install. We need to run that as root. No, we don't. I need to slow down. Right. So we've navigated into the stratum folder. Let's just start this again. Cut that last bit out. Okay, so here we've arrived now at the stratum-mining folder. We need to do a few quick updates just to make sure that we're on the right platform on all the latest updates. So we do that. That's better. Obviously I missed a step earlier. Now we need to make our way, once this is done, to the externals folder and then the Litecoin script folder. From there we need to install it. So to install that, you will type sudo python setup.py install. That will take a moment to complete, and then we need to drop down the level and enter stratum. And again, sudo setup. So sudo python setup.py install. And that's stratum now compiled. So the last thing to do is to update the config file. So cd conf, and you can see we've got an example there. Now because the information we need is already available, we're going to borrow it to make this a bit quicker. So what you need to do is type tail home /home, your username, in this case Mark, and then the anoncoin folder. So .anoncoin and then anoncoin.conf. What this will do, as you can see, is it will give me a display of the settings I set up earlier. I want to save the RPC password. The port is 3335 and the username is, obviously, as you can see there, Mark Stratum. So what we're going to do now is edit the config. So nano * sample *. we're going to come down in here. The trusted port, as we know, is 3335. The user, we can scroll up and have a look, I've forgotten, is marked LiveChains, and the password we paste that I copied earlier. Now we save that, we're going back to it in a moment, but first we need your wallet address. So it's anoncoined get account address, and there we go. We copy that, go back to the config with nano, as you can see, set wallet address. Now there is no reason for you to go playing through these settings, but it is worth having a look about. There are some performance advantages to be gained. As you can see here, this bit here, these two settings are very coin specific. We only support script and SHA-256D right now, but you would set those up as per the coin. You can choose to give you stratum-mining process a name. Now if you're running more than one process, we recommend you name them all separately. Here is where you specify stratum port. In this case we want it to be 333, so we'll leave that as the default. Password salt, again, just like the salts in MPOS, they need to be very, very secure. Doing what I've just done is not recommended. Next up, we just need to add the database. So again, for me it was root, it's MPOS, then root, and I'll put the password in. No, I won't, I can't. I'll put the password in a moment. We'll just scroll through these settings first. There's nothing you really need to change down here. Obviously have a look around, get yourself comfortable with it. The memcache prefix, again, multiple hosts, multiple prefix please. Just, it's simpler and causes less problems. So I'm just going to pause the recording while I insert them. That's it, I've just inserted the password. All I've done is save the file, so we're ready to carry on. Now we need to check that anoncoined's got the blockchain. So again, anoncoined get info. Yep, looks like we've got the blockchain, so we can launch Stratum now. Ready. The quickest way to launch Stratum is thus: make sure you're in the right directory, which in this case is home mark stratum-mining, and then it's a simple case of sudo twisted -ny launcher.tac. Didn't expect that. Looks like I made a minor boo-boo there in the config. Just bear with me. What I forgot to do here is save it the right way. So when you save the config, you actually need to rename it in the process, which is config.py. And I'm really struggling with this bit. Yeah, let's save the changes. That's better. Okay, now I've got the config name right, we can go ahead and launch Stratum. You watch, there'll be another error. You do occasionally get this error. Obviously it's a missing dependency from earlier, but it's easy enough. Solved with sudo apt-get install python-package name. I do believe there's going to be another one after this, thinking about it. I will update the earlier dependencies list so that you don't need to do this. No, that's it, there you go. As you can see, I've just launched Stratum and Stratum is now running. It's telling you that it's downloaded the blockchain, or the blockchain is downloaded. When it completes, because it's got that far, Stratum will now just start. So to make sure that it stays running permanently, what you need to do is press Ctrl C to kill it, and then just come back up a bit to the previous command and delete the N. This will run it in daemon mode. Now if you're running multiple servers, again you want to use this command, just add this to the end. And there you go. That's Stratum running. One more step to do, which is two more steps. First we need to edit the Apache file. So cd etc, cd apache 2. Sudo nano apache2.conf. We need to scroll down in here. We'll cheat actually. Control W, and we want to search for /var/www. There it is. Sorry, there it is. I was just struggling there. What we need to do now is just take public on the end of that. We'll go ahead and save that change, and now we want to edit the cron tab menu. So sudo nano /etc /cron tab. There's hundreds of ways of doing this. People don't like the way that I've chosen to do it, but it works alright for us. Obviously you wouldn't specify root here, you would specify the username that you installed MPOS with, or another user. You don't want to run anything as root where possible. And in here we just set up the cron jobs to run as such, run crons.sh, and that's it. Last step is to restart a page, so service sudo service page 2 restart. This might take a moment. And that's it. If you now visit your server's IP address, MPOS will load. Now, some quick tips. If MPOS gives you a blank white page when you try to load on the IP address, chances are the the ch own section has not been completed properly. Fail to connect to database, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Check your database section. Remember when you log in to check the monitoring tab as admin on the pool. This will show of any cron job errors. Any jobs that you start with that are broken just cause problems. So verify that they all say OK to start with, and also click on the wallet button. Make sure that there is no HTTP 200 error. That error indicates that the config file is wrong and MPOS is not able to look at the wallet. Now, without being able to do that, MPOS won't be able to send and receive any commands to the wallet, nor will it be able to process payouts. So it's very important you get that right. I hope to God you've all been able to follow, and I've not bored you all to death. And I hope that you find this to be helpful. If I need to come back and revisit it, then that's certainly something we can do. But in the meantime, good luck. If you get stuck, open the ticket, we will happily give you a hand. Thanks for your time.